to join me in prayer. We thank you, God, this morning for reminding us what you value. It's not really a thing that you value the most. It is who you value, and that is us. Help us in the same way to love and value people the way you do. Not just as individuals, but as a congregation. In Christ's name we all pray. Amen. According to the latest Forbes magazine list of the billionaires of 2015, Bill Gates, co-founder of Microsoft, is worth today $79.2 billion. Number one. Carlos Slim, Mexican businessman, number two, is worth $77.1 billion. Warren Buffett, investor guru, is worth $72.7 billion. Amancio Ortega, Spanish investor and co-founder of Sarah clothing store, is worth $64.5 billion. And Larry Ellison, founder of the database software firm Oracle, is worth $54.3 billion. And for those of you who are curious about Oprah, she also made the billionaires list. She's worth about $3 billion. On the other hand, according to the UNICEF, a child sold for slavery in South Asia is worth $150. This same child, if adopted by an American family, the whole cost of the adoption process could amount to between $30,000 to $45,000. A kidney in the black markets can cost you no less than $30,000. Yet, if all the chemicals and elements that our body produces were to be sold separately, we wouldn't even get more than $5. How much is human life worth? How much value do we place on life? It seems to me, from the statistics that I gave you, at least a very superficial view of it, that we may have our values a little screwed up. Forgive me for the word. Our value system of people is clearly subjective and relative at times, or many times. I would venture even to say that the way we value people is indeed very corrupt and biased. Because for us, the value of a person will depend mostly on who the person is, what the person does, and who cares about this person. In general terms, we have learned to treat people like any other commodity so that we assign value to them depending on the direct benefit we will gain from their friendship or relationship. But here is where this morning I would like to change this conversation. Because it seems pretty clear to me that for God, every life is priceless. Each life is so priceless that it was worth the death of Jesus. Each life is worth everything for Christ because, above all, Jesus values people, no matter who they are. As we heard this morning in our gospel story, we see now Jesus having a conversation with the Pharisees and scribes who were very upset with him because he was being friendly to the people who, according to them, were worth less. The passage begins with the Pharisees and the scribes murmuring, gossiping against Jesus because he is eating with sinners and tax collectors. For them, this was a direct offense that Jesus was associated with men and women who were labeled as sinners. The Pharisees gave to the people who did not keep the law a general classification. They called them the people of the land. And there was this complete barrier between the Pharisees and the people of the land. In one of the Pharisaic regulations, it said it very clear what they are supposed to do with the people of the land. When a man is one of the people of the land, entrust no money to him, take no testimony from him, trust him with no secrets, do not appoint him guardian of an orphan, do not make him take custody of charitable funds, do not accompany him on any journey. In other words, stay away from them because they are worth less. It is in this volatile context that we hear then these two parables. These two parables that back to back addresses how Jesus and God see people and values people. The first parable is a very well-known parable. It's a parable of a shepherd who loved so much one sheep that he was willing to leave 99 behind to go and find the one that was lost. If I was a famous biblical scholar, which I'm not yet, I'm kidding, I will never be, I will rename this parable the parable of a crazy shepherd who doesn't know how to do math. That's how we call it. Because either the shepherd didn't know anything about knowing how to count, or he was also a really bad businessman. The shepherd left 99 sheep unprotected to rescue just one. I think you can do the math. 99 over 1. Now let me be clear. In Jesus' time, the flocks were community flocks, which meant that 2 or 3 shepherds will be together and they will care for the flocks so that one could go and look for the other that was lost. So it wasn't as crazy as it may sound initially, yet. The explanation tells you, this explanation will tell you that he was able to leave the 99 with some care behind. It tells you a little bit of the context of how someone would do this. Yet it doesn't really tell you the reason why this shepherd would risk his life to go and find the one sheep. Because many times in the process of going and looking for the one lost sheep, he would certainly risk his life by facing animals, by facing cliffs, and many other things. And once again, from my perspective, when you look at the whole flock, is the life of a shepherd worth to risk his own life to find just one? The case of this shepherd pursuing the lost sheep is not a case of frugality, it's not just a case that he's going to get in trouble for losing one sheep. Because again, what the shepherd did was extremely illogical to our understanding. But here's the truth that Jesus was trying to explain to the Pharisees and the scribes. All lives are valuable to God. All lives, each single life. In other words, each life is worth everything for Christ. Because above all, Jesus values all people. This new way of valuing life is very clear. 99 faithful are as valuable as one. One lost sheep is worth the risk. It's worth everything for Jesus. Just like Jesus was not afraid of leaving the safety of heaven to come down to earth, risking everything to save us. Then Jesus tells a second parable. The story of a woman who had 10 coins and somehow lost one. She does everything to find that lost coin. Each coin represents one day of work, and for a woman to have saved 10 coins meant for her at least 2 months of careful savings. This is very important. This is very valuable. Finally, she finds the coin. She was beyond herself. She couldn't contain the joy and happiness of having found the lost coin. She calls her friends and neighbors and then has a party. These two stories that Jesus is telling to the Pharisees and the scribes and to all of us, both stories end with a happy ending. Both stories end with a great party. The joy of finding what was lost. There is always a party for those who are lost and then come back. Finding the sheep and the coin requires a celebration. But let me just pause for a minute. Let me just pause for a minute. Because if we are agreeing with Jesus, then what we are agreeing with him is that every life, just as one life, is worth everything to God. Every life. Every life, every person is precious. Indeed priceless to God. And when this single life has been found by God's grace and love, we should rejoice. But there's one more thing. The only way people are going to be found is when we go out looking for them. We are in the business of going out and actively looking for those who are lost. We go after the lost, no matter why and how he or she got lost. Because when one is lost, we are not complete. One is lost, we are all lost. Dr. Robert Weeks from Wesley Theological Seminary shared in a sermon a very funny story about a family who decided to go to the mall. They had 5 children, all of them went. To make matters easy, when they went to the mall, they decided to split up and converge at a certain time and hour in the mall. I think you understand what that means. We'll see you here in 2 hours. See you here. The time comes and everybody arrives except 2 children, 2 of the 5. The parents look at each other and they say, well, 3 out of 5 is not bad. Let's go home. Unacceptable. Not just unacceptable, wrong, even though that's what parents sometimes may want to do. When we look at our church family, many times we see the same. 5 became part of our family, and now only 2 or 3 are left. And sometimes we still think it's okay. We are happy because we only lost 2 out of 5. This morning I want to take it a step further. We look at our church family, at our Bowie community. Who is not here? We need to go out and actively seek and find them. God's nature is to risk everything to find us. are we taking the same risk? We need to take risks in our own lives to both accept God's marvelous mercy and love, and at the same time share that love with everybody else. Because each life is so priceless that it was worth the death of Jesus. Every life is worth everything for a price, because above all, Jesus values all people. As I mentioned earlier, in both parables, they both end with a party, for the sheep and the coin were found. It seems as though we have entered a time in our country when there are no parties to celebrate. There are no parties to celebrate when we find each other on the streets. We actually run away from each other. We are collectively wondering out loud if the demons of past racism and discrimination that we thought were conquered have come back stronger than ever. Have come back stronger than ever to haunt us as we see tensions rising up between the police and the racial minorities. I don't mean to downplay that there are two sides, maybe three, to every story. But the truth of the gospel also calls us to realize that Jesus values all lives. And if the church believes that to be true, if we believe what Jesus says, then we need to be a place that speaks for those who can't speak for themselves, a place for those who are not seen and left out, a place where the abandoned and abused are loved and restored, because Jesus values all lives and people. So here's my last question to all of us. Have you been found by Jesus? Do you remember when you were lost? Maybe you're still that sheep in the story. Or are you like the Pharisees and the scribes who were upset with Jesus for giving worth to those who were obviously worth less? Each life is precious to God. And Jesus is inviting us to value people in a new way. It seems to me pretty clear that for God, each life is priceless. Each life is so priceless that it was worth the death of Jesus. Each life is worth everything for Christ. Because above all, Jesus values all people. Amen.